Today episode, we're going to talk about people who likes playing the victim. What I mean by that is that they know what they're doing, or they're aware that there's other option to them, but they just choose not to change. And that's what it is. So what I mean by that is that when you have someone who do a repeated toxic behavior, and they just keep blaming everybody else but themselves. That is them playing the victim. They don't want to admit that their behavior was wrong. It is easier to just blame the other person. It is easier to just want validation from a friend or a romantic partner saying that what they did was not inappropriate and that the other person is wrong. So, for example, I'm going to give you two examples. One is from my own personal family, and the another is from a friend of mine. So, my mother, she is in a toxic relationship with my father, who is always guilt tripping her and being manipulative to get whatever he wants. And he doesn't want to go to work, he doesn't want to help support the family. But instead of just getting a divorce and just move on with her life, she doesn't need this deadbeat in her life. She would make excuses and come to me crying, saying that, oh, it's hard for a woman to survive in this world on her own with a child. That is an excuse. If you need the support, there's government program to help you. And it's also a sort of like they glorify themselves in an abusive relationship that they enjoy putting up with that toxicity. And what I mean is that this is the reason why people go back to abusive relationship. They like the like the I'm not sure what the right word for it, but they like to be glorified that they're in it, they're suffering, they glorify themselves. What I mean by that is that more specifically, what I see in my mother is that she knows it's toxic, but she wants to say that she's a great person for putting up with my father who doesn't want to work, and that she stayed with my father with the reason is that he's my biological father. If she get married to someone else, that person is my stepfather, and it would be mean to me. This is more excuses to glorify yourself of self-sacrificing yourself to be in this toxic relationship. That is one example of it. Another example is a friend of mine. She had this habit of constantly flirting with men. Either it's on campus, either it's in the game that we play, or we out somewhere at the bar, at the club. That behavior, so you know that you're flirting with people because you want the attention. And then she get mad at them when, they text her asking for like new pictures. And then she called them like just low life, and she doesn't like to send you because it make her feel dirty. I'm just like, what do you think is going to happen when you lead people on, when you flirting with them, and then you say that all they want is naked picture from you is sex. They don't care about the connection. What is there in that connection that you're talking about? The superficial compliment that they say that you're beautiful because they're sexualizing you based on the way you dress, based on how you flirt with them. And, she would get mad about it when I say that. It's like, I'm telling you that, and then you know what you're doing too, because this keep happening to you, and you would get mad at those men, but then you would flirt with those type of men again. What I mean by that is that if it's just some nerd that reading the book in the library, she would not go up to them and start flirting with them. They don't even know she's flirting with them because some people don't have the social cue. When men approach her, obviously they want something. And also that your physical appearance too of how you present yourself. If you wear sexy clothing, mini skirt, crop top, obviously certain type of men will come up to you just from looking at you and they like that physical appearance. So when women like her play the victim of just saying all these creepy men are coming up to me, or like, I thought we were having a genuine connection, and then he started asking for new pictures. It's like, what do you think is gonna happen? And then she also told me that one time she was on a date with this guy, and then they were getting along through dinner and stuff, and then she took him home, and then he started getting aggressive with her because he wanted to have sex with her. So then again, I'm like, what do you think is gonna happen when you take a guy home? Do you think that he's just gonna sit there and drink tea with you or something? You're doing these obvious thing, and then you come to me crying and playing the victim. And I don't feel I don't feel sorry for her or my mom. I don't defend them and their behavior. I'm not gonna be like, I'm not gonna be one of those friend or one of those daughter that just, just because they're my family member, their friend, my friend, that I'm gonna say they were wrong and that they shouldn't make you feel that way. That's what they want to hear, is that validation that they're not in the wrong and that the other person did wrong to them. But it's the opposite of that. What you did is what lead them on. And the consequences is that they ask you to send them new pictures or try to force you to have sex with them. That was all you're doing. You're not being a good friend by just validating their when them just validating them when they play the victim and say that, oh, that was inappropriate of that guy to do that to you. If you just went to dinner, see, when I go date people, I have dinner with them, but I don't intentionally say things in a way that sound flirty or like say things that I want something from them. It was just a dinner to get to know them. And we just ask about question like, what do you like to do? Oh, I like to play like, yeah, tennis. What do you like to do? See? So it's these questions. But with her, it's like a flirtation thing. It's like you're flirting with them. You're turning them on. So the consequences of taking them home with you is like if you take anybody home with you, that is so obvious that you wanted something, but you also wanted to be in control at the moment. But when they get aggressive with you, it's a turn off for you because you get scared and you're like, what have I done? Sure, you can be scared, but remember that it is your action that led up to that moment. So these people who play the victim, they know what they're doing and they know that there's other options and that they can stop that behavior and that they don't have to be in that situation all the time, but they choose not to do it. My friend has been doing this behavior, constantly seeking attention from men ever since she was in high school. My mother been doing this behavior of glorifying herself in an abusive relationship ever since I was a child. They don't want to stop the behavior. They don't want the solution. What they want is validation. It's toxic. Some people, like, I want to cut them off, but there's certain things that I just can't do it right away. But I'm not gonna sugarcoat it for them and say that, oh, I'm sorry that happened to you. Is I just tell them for what it is. For example, my friend would get mad at me, my mom would get mad at me. But that's what you are. That's what you're doing. It's all on you. And you can keep them around, keep them casual. Just, you know, even though they call you a jerk for not taking their side, but they'll come back to you at some point to complain again, to play the victim. So if you can't cut off someone completely, you know, overall, she's an okay friend. You know, she's very nice. She would offer me money if I needed. Like when I was in a situation and then I was moving somewhere. But it's just that particular behavior of her that gets her in trouble. But I'm not going to validate her saying that it wasn't her fault that she was leading people on and that that's the consequence of her leading those men on. Same thing with my mother. It's like, I'm grateful that you support the family, you raised me, but you could have walked away and we could have a better life without this deadbeat. But you choose not to do it. So I'm not going to validate either you or my friend for your toxic behaviors. So that's the point of today's episode. It is as it is toxic of you to validate toxic people behavior. They know exactly what they're doing. They're playing the victim. So don't tolerate and just try to be a good friend or a good family member and just support those type of behavior because it's just going to get worse over time. You can casually say that, you know, tell them once. If they don't change, just give them some generic stuff and say, you know, that was, you did it again. That's what it is. You did it again. And here's the consequence again. That's the best thing you can do for them is to be honest with them and point it out. Or just cut them off completely.